And we are back, and as you can tell, we have no guests.
Yes, exactly. So, as we said in the beginning of the show, we are going to be switching things up a little bit, and we are going to be showing you some of what we do in our house for Christmas, and we're going to be sharing our cake recipes this morning.
Yes.
So this morning, April is going to be making white fruit cake, and I will be making black fruit cake this morning. I'm going to show you how we do it in our houses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, are you ready,
Yes.
Gavin?
Yeah, this is interesting.
It is going to be interesting. So let's start with what you would do first, and I will start with what I do first.
All right.
This is like a really old recipe in my family.
Yeah, this is a family recipe too. And like I was mentioning, like in the beginning of our show, like because my family has Belizean and Jamaican influence, we usually make the Jamaican recipe for black cake. And the main difference is usually that the fruits are actually usually blended or put in a food processor. So the first step actually to making this cake is to actually start with your fruits, and you want to start this as long ahead beforehand.
Exactly
Yep.
my thoughts as well, Gavin. So
My mom usually does hers. She aged hers for months, but
how long did you age yours for?
this is only for this has been 2 days, and I actually
Okay.
like fast tracked the process for the show. So
Yeah.
I did slow cook the
TV kitchen.
Yes, exactly. But what the fruits is really up to you. What you want to use. This recipe is using just all dried fruits. So it has raisins, dry cranberries, dried cherries, prunes, and dates.
Okay.
But you could put like currants in there. You could put candied peel, all kind of stuff like that. It's up to you really. And then you age it in, and this one is aged in wine and brandy and some rum as well.
Well, for my white fruit cake is also an old family recipe as well. This one was actually taught to me by my tia Myrna. Shout out to my tia Myrna in Georgeville. And she taught me to make this when I was a teenager. And this is just what we do. So we also, like Gavin, you start with the fruits. And what you want to do is you have the same dried fruits as well with your raisins. And what you want to do first is cover your fruits in flour and in egg. And the reason why we do this is so that the fruits don't stick within the cake as you pour it into the batter. So it actually helps the fruits to loosen up while it is baking in the batter itself in the oven, right? So your fruits are spread out throughout your cake evenly, and that is why we flour and egg the fruits before you even begin anything else. And you want to do that all in. You make sure you stir it properly. You make sure that all the egg and the flour, and you only put like maybe a quarter cup of flour in about 4 pounds of fruit, and 1 egg, just so that you are able to distribute all of that evenly.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
Now, the first thing that you want to do after you have your fruits ready, like of course you want to soak these for as long as you possibly could. Probably overnight, if you don't have more time would be the most, or at least a few hours if you don't have any time. But assuming that you have all your fruits ready and that, then you can actually start to make the cake. The first step that I usually do is to start with creaming the butter and sugar.
Yes.
And if you have a hand mixer or a KitchenAid like that, then it's much easier than this. But
I am begging for a KitchenAid every single year, and it never happens.
So I'm going to start with this. We have about a cup of, this is just under a cup of butter. This recipe that I'm making will only make about 1 large cake or maybe 2 small ones. So I have about measured out about a cup of butter here and about just under a cup of sugar.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna not put the whole thing in. And you want to mix this until this is like white and fluffy. All right. Now I don't know if we'll get that exactly because, well, just because of time, it's a TV kitchen. So I'm gonna just get this like pretty well incorporated.
And as
it's
well,
a bit cold in here.
It's yes,
so
it
the
is.
butter
So the
is
butter
like
is not going to melt. But just like Gavin, we also do the same. So I think it's basic cake 101.
Yeah.
You cream your butter and your sugar, and I usually make a very big batch of fruit cake. So I usually use a lot more butter and sugar than Gavin, but because of time and of course TV kitchen, like Gavin says, we are not going to be making all of that. So same thing here, we cream our butter and our sugar. I'm not going to go through the whole process like Gavin because I already understand how TV kitchen works. So I think I have about a half cup of butter here, and I'm going to also put a half cup of sugar. The original recipe calls for 2 cups of butter and 2.5 cups of sugar, and the proper way is like Gavin, you whisk it, right?
Yeah.
But
this
TV Kitchen, therefore we the mix.
yeah.
And you want to make sure that you get your cream and your sugar like a whip, right?
Yeah.
You want it to look like a whipped cream kind of situation.
Yeah, it should be like really white and fluffy.
It should be really white and fluffy.
So like for today, because
It's not going to be white and fluffy.
It's butter. I'm just gonna do this until it's pretty well incorporated, which it is.
So what we mean by this, right, is that you want to be able to make sure that you no longer feel or taste, not taste, but feel the sugar grains in the butter, right? So you want it to be so fluffy that it's like a whipped cream situation.
Yeah, so even though you can see like with my mixture, it's starting to get a little bit more smooth. So
Gavin, would you like to borrow my mixture? Would you like to borrow my mixture?
We're good. We're good.
Right, so this is not the texture that we are looking for. Is supposed to be like like a cream.
Yeah. But you see, like mine is already starting to get fluffy.
Yours is already creamy.
A little bit.
A little bit. Yeah, same here. And so it's not as creamy as you would like it to be. And like I said, I'm not going to make the entire batter, but what we'll do now with the creamed sugar and butter is that you will go one by one adding your liquid ingredients.
Okay.
So for me, I have, because this is a large recipe, 5 cups of flour, 2.5 cups sugar. You will put 8 eggs into the batter. It's a 9-egg recipe, but I used one of the eggs for my fruit, and so it is about 8 eggs that you would mix in your butter and your sugar. And once that is done, you will then put in your other liquid ingredients: 1 tablespoon of vanilla, 1 tablespoon of lemon essence. You have rum. I put like a half cup of rum.
Yeah.
I use orange juice. Yeah. So I put about 3/4 cup of orange juice, and those are my liquid ingredients. And then what I would do with my flour is I would mix my flour with my baking powder before I add it into the mixture. So with 5 cups of flour, I put about 3.5 teaspoons, of baking powder, and I mix it into my liquid batter gradually, though.
Yeah.
Right. That is my mixer is going to probably blow out if I do that right here on set. But but so, yes, you mix it in gradually, and then after you've already mixed everything, you add your fruits. You add your fruits last, and then what I like to do is I add walnuts and pecans at the end, and I mix that into my fruit cake batter.
So like mine is like, it's not like 100% there, but out of time, since it's already, you'll notice that like from where we started to this, the butter is already getting paler, it's a bit whiter, and it's kind of fluffy. So I think we can go there and start adding. So for me, yes, we start going with the wet ingredients, but after this, the first step is we add in the eggs. Yes. For this recipe, we're going to use 4 eggs and add them one by one.
Yeah.
And so that each one gets incorporated. So we'll start with the first one. And you just add that to your sugar and butter mixture. And of course, this will make it a bit easier to mix too, because we got more liquid.
Yes. And then of course it will gradually get creamier and creamier as you mix your eggs in. So do you always use a whisk?
No,
Okay.
not at all. I have a KitchenAid.
Okay. You have a
Yeah. So
Jealous.
after add one by one.
So this takes a lot. This is easier at home then for you
Yes,
to make.
absolutely. It's like much quicker. So if you have a hand mixer, then that's the same thing.
Right.
So yeah.
So for me, once I've mixed all of my ingredients, your batter should look like this.
All right.
Right. So this is all the components with the flour, the sugar, everything in your fruits. This is your batter, right? And one of the things that separates, I'm not sure about your cake, but one of the things that separates white fruit cake from your other cakes is that the batter is thick, right?
Yeah.
It's a very thick batter, and it is slow to rise. So when you do put it in, I don't just put it into one big container. I separate it into smaller containers because eventually they become gifts. Right, this is how fruit cake started for me. I made them as Christmas gifts because life hard, and I would put them in small containers and distribute because that makes life easy.
All right. No,
So
yeah, I do
how's
the
your-
same thing. Yeah, it's good. So if you notice just now, I added a little bit of flour to that mix, and that is just to prevent the butter or the cream in the butter from splitting or from curdling.
Yes.
You can add like a tablespoon at a time so that your mixture stays smooth like this.
Oh, so you gradually add your flour as you are putting it.
No, well, you can do that, but I just add like a little bit in the first instance so that,
Okay.
all right, so yeah. So then now you want to add the rest of your wet ingredients. So
Yes.
I'm going to do, let's see, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So here's a teaspoon here, one here. Oh,
You know what? It is a teaspoon, Gavin.
Yeah.
It is a teaspoon.
and then you also, I've already measured this out already, but this is 3 tablespoons of your black coloring,
Okay.
which is the burnt sugar. You could make this at home or you could buy this, but this is basically just burnt sugar, and this is what gives the black cake its color.
Yes, it does.
So yeah, so this is just about 3 tablespoons, which I've already measured out into this mixture. And like I said, it's kind of cold in here, so it's pouring kind of slow, but this is fine.
Okay.
And
How much do you add? You said 3 tablespoons.
About 3 tablespoons,
Okay.
yeah, for this cake, yeah.
I would think that you would have to add a lot to get
Well,
that black coloring.
Well, I think again, this might be a next difference between like Belizean or Jamaican cake, because I noticed that like the Jamaican cakes are like more, let's say, on the brown side or like dark brown rather than really, 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 really black. What else? Oh yes, and then this is a substitute because I don't have molasses, so
Okay,
you can
right.
add molasses. So I am just using agave syrup only because I have agave in my house. For no
What
other
would you
reason, and it's
normally
sweet.
use?
Molasses.
Molasses.
Yeah, so you should add 2 tablespoons. So we're just gonna add 2 tablespoons of this syrup. Actually, has a similar flavor. I find.
The
So it
texture
works
is the
just as
same?
yeah. Well, molasses is a little bit thicker.
Yeah.
But flavor-wise, this works. So and I've added my vanilla already. So this is the wet ingredients incorporated.
So when you're talking about Jamaican black fruit cake versus Belizean black fruit cake, ours is a lot darker. We add
Usually, yeah.
more coloring.
Yeah,
Okay.
usually, yeah.
Okay.
So then here's your mix. And at this stage now you add your flour.
Okay.
And this is already pre-sifted with baking powder.
powder.
So I'm adding just about 2 cups of flour. Oh, sure, I should not have added all of that. So
okay.
I need some extra. But yeah, so there's about 2 cups of flour. And baking powder is 2 tablespoons, and then you want to mix this. Unlike April's mix, this is going to be a bit looser.
Yeah.
Because this is going to go in the oven for a really long time, usually at
Okay.
least 2 hours. So you want it to be like a really, you want it to be sort of a loose mixture,
Right.
so that it doesn't dry out really quickly. And yeah, you can see how the batter is looking. It's a bit brown right now. And it will
Yeah.
get darker once you add your fruits as well.
Okay.
So here we go, everything's
Yeah,
looking
it's
smooth.
very, very thick though, still.
Yeah, but then this has a lot of liquid in it as well. So once
okay.
you add
So how much fruits then do you
to
add?
this recipe, about 2 cups.
Okay.
Yeah, So this spoon that I'm using is roughly a cup. So I'm just gonna add 2. Yeah, and I did measure
Where
this.
are the fruits?
See, it's all like I said. This is like a big difference between the Caribbean and the Belizean cake, because usually we blend our fruits or we put it in the food processor after, right before you're ready to bake it.
I feel like you
so
said
it's
that.
all
Gavin, I'm sorry.
So the texture of the cake is like is one smooth cake.
So you
rather,
don't get to taste the fruits inside. Well, you
taste
don't get
it, but
to,
you don't chew
you
it.
get to
Yeah.
feel it.
I use a blender this time, but usually I use a food processor just so that it has a little bit more texture. So like this cake is not going to be like super smooth.
And there is the darkness
so
coming
it's getting
through.
dark, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am mesmerized right now.
Yeah.
Because I know for Belizeans, you know, you just add the fruits. Just like what we do with the white fruit cake, you just add the fruits. Wow.
So yeah.
Okay.
So this will get darker even when you put it in the oven too.
Okay.
But this is more or less the batter for the cake.
Okay.
So yeah, this is like
That's thick. That is about the same consistency.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Let's go look at use a little bit more fruits. I'm gonna add like this much more, and like I said, you want this to this will bake in the oven for about 2 hours on a low temperature, like 300 or 325, and you should get a pretty dense cake. But this is more or less, this is how the batter looks.
Yeah. Let's compare the two. This is awesome, Gavin. We always talk on the show that Gavin can cook or that I can cook, but this is the first time that we've actually put our skills to the test.
Yes.
So, look at the differences in consistency. Jamaican black fruit cake, right?
Yeah.
With the fruits already blended.
Yeah.
And so the cake is a smooth batter.
Yeah, and it should be kind of brown, dark brown.
Yeah.
And then once you bake it, it gets darker and darker in the oven.
Yeah.
And so like April, I do have a example of like, here's a small cake that, that I made just last night.
I also have a sample as well. So that's what happens when we are, when it's done, when the final product is done.
Yes.
Perfect,
and we
wonderful.
also have some slices here so you could see how it looks.
Okay, so sliced and diced. This is how my fruit cake looks at the end when it is fully baked. Yes. So I do like loaves in the little pans, and I think they're so cute. And they're like for gifts, you know. And of course, the final products.
So I'm holding April's one. This is how it looks. So you can see all the fruits are like well distributed throughout the cake, which is pretty just nice to see also.
Yes.
And and there's mine. So as you can see, the texture that once you blend the fruit that it creates, it makes like a smooth texture.
Yeah.
Rather than the
fruits, right? And so this is what I would make every year for family and friends. And also, I mean, our black cake doesn't look like this. So like I would make a white fruit cake and my aunt would make a black fruit cake and we would exchange.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if you do rum cake or white cake and that sort of stuff, but this is more the traditional cake. If I don't make nothing else, I have to make this.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, like we said, like I said, yeah, this is kind of like the same thing here. So like, cause this is like a family thing, and usually like my mom's family or at least my grandma will come in from Jamaica. So this is like the cake that I've been used to eating. But of course, I enjoy Belizean fruit cake as well.
We have to exchange.
Yes.
You have to taste, and I have to taste.
All right. So
okay.
Let's have some.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good. Yeah. I don't know why people complain about black cake. For this nice.
Right? Oh, I always say. This is really good too.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I like.
It's not like overwhelming with fruits.
No,
because I know people don't like too many fruits. So I usually just add about 3 pounds or cups. And of course I put the walnuts for crunchiness and the pecans for crunchiness. But this is really delicious. This is Gavin's family recipe, black Jamaican fruit cake. It's really delicious. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
And well, there you have it. Let us know if you have any family recipes at home that you'd like to share with us. And you know, maybe next year we cook one of their recipes. What do you think?
Yeah, it will be fun. I have that in my mouth. It's full.
And we're going to take a short break. We'll be back. We'll be teleporting to Bottom Dollar. Maybe you'll see us there. Stay tuned.